Hello, I'm Kamla. My guest today is Halfdan Hussey. He is the co-founder and CEO of Cinequest Inc. He's also an author and a filmmaker. Cinequest every year hosts a film festival, and this year they're hosting their film festival from February 28th through March 12th, 2017 in San Jose, and they have expanded their footprint to include Redwood City, which is located in the peninsula of the Bay Area. Welcome to the show, Halfdan.
Thank you.
This year, what is new about your film festival? You've got the VR element, virtual reality element.
Right. Cinequest has always been about the fusion of technology as it meets creativity to bring power to artists as well as audiences and opportunities and experiences. So VR is a big deal for us this year. The epicenter of virtual reality is the Silicon Valley, whereas LA was the epicenter is for the film and entertainment industry. So it's very exciting for us to bring forward a great VR experience for artists and audiences alike. We'll have some amazing cinematic VR experiences, gaming experiences, immersive experiences for audiences. And then we'll be training new and emerging filmmakers and artists and innovators on the how-tos, the how to make VR, how to make great VR. It's a very, very challenging world because in VR you're seeing everywhere. Film, you're seeing one dimension or one direction.
Are you hooked to VR?
The past 6 months, I've been seeing work that really moves me and is exciting. And that's the analogy I use is, to me, VR right now is like the early days of a television industry. I've heard people compare it to computers, but I don't quite understand. But in the television industry, all of a sudden people have these boxes in their homes, okay? We got a box in our homes. We're gonna have static on that box? Well, we're not going to watch that box or spend any time with it. You've got to have content. And you've got to have compelling content. And it's more challenging to make compelling content in VR because it's more expensive and there are more issues.
So we'll come back to the film festival because the organization that you co-founded, Cinequest, does the annual film festival, and it also does something else that is targeting the youth. Now, is this the youth just in the Bay Area, or is it the youths all over, or as, what's his name, Joe Pesci would say, youth?
The youths, exactly. Yeah,
Tell us about the second program.
We got to help the youths. So, Picture the Possibilities is just this, getting youth to really dream and to make a vision. That's wonderful, but then how do you make that real?
Anywhere in the world or just the Bay Area?
In the world. We do this work in the Bay Area as well as in China, Asia, Mexico City, many places and cities. And we bring to youth a process we call the 7 powers of creating. How do I take a vision, picture it, and then create it? How do I make that real? And we've learned that people that we admire at Cinequest, people like Steve Wozniak, co-founder of Apple, great innovators like Marty Cooper, founder of the cell phone, as well as our film artists and other artists, they have similar ways of doing things. There's some similarities. And we put these together into this program called the 7 Powers of Creating. And it's wonderful because youth really get the chance to get confidence. What's in your heart? What's in your minds? What do you want to create in your life? And it doesn't have to be something as big as Apple. It might be, I want to create a garden in my community, or I want to create and learn how to cook and create a nice dinner for my family. So there are many ways.
Get them started.
Get them started. And so after they go through this program, then they do a little test. The test is they make a short film.
Is there any length that they need to adhere to? Is it a minute?
We usually make 3 to 5 minute short films. And the reason we do this is not to train filmmakers, but a short film is a great way to work as a group, to collaborate, and to make a vision real. And then you have something to share with people. So it's an exciting program. We've been doing it now for 3 years, and we're thrilled with the results.
So how does the program work? In terms of, you have this program called Picture the Possibilities. If I'm a youth, somewhere in Illinois, how would I participate in this?
Well, there's 2 ways. We have community partners, and we go out and we work in different cities with these partner groups. But now we also have a virtual opportunity online, which is fantastic, so that you could be in a city that we don't serve and participate.
And so if I was that young person, if I went online, I could log in and somebody would help me, walk me through how to make a film. What can I expect?
There's a curriculum to go through.
Okay.
And it's a process, and there's books. We wrote a book called The 7 Powers of Creating, and there's training manuals.
Who came up with that, 7 Powers?
I did. I do a lot of mentoring with Cinequest, college and high school students and junior high and middle school too. teens. And I started to come up with this idea of the powers of creating, and I thought it was just something I'd be interested in. And I would, talk to the youths that I was mentoring about
I think
this.
the Joe Pesci thing really hit home there.
Yeah, it really did, because one of them then sent me a letter. He said, dude, you were talking about that powers of creating thing, and that really inspired me, because when I heard you talk about that, I was extremely obese. I weighed over 300 pounds, 360 pounds. I was a drug addict. I was seriously abused by my father, and I was really ready to check out, to kill myself. But that kind of gave me a little bit of hope, and then I started trying things, and he got interested in taking care of himself and creating what he became interested in the media world. And he said, hey, I'm doing great now. I moved to Japan. He was, and that's told me that, well, maybe this thing that I've learned from so many creative people and apply myself can be something that Cinequest and our team can pass on to people, and they'll find it of value.
So those folks that participate in Picture the Possibilities, do they also participate in the Cinequest Film Festival? Do their movies show up?
We do. There are some integrations.
Okay.
Each year we do a summit of the top youth from these programs meet with innovators and inspirational people in the Silicon Valley, and that usually occurs around the film festival. And then also, as I mentioned, we create short films as test case. These short films end up being great movies, so we do indeed play those before features at Cinequest.
Okay, So let's come back to the festival. So this year you have an interesting lineup of films. The opening night film is a Shirley MacLaine film.
It is. It's called The Last Word. So it's a very funny movie about Shirley MacLaine, and her character has lived a lot of life and's got a lot of confidence, and she hires a biographer who's Amanda Seyfried. But Amanda isn't quite writing the story in the way that Shirley wants it written. She's not looking quite as good as she wants to look. So it goes from there.
My name is Ann Sherman. I'm from the Bristol Gazette. I'd like to talk to you about Harriet Lawler.
Now, the deceased should be loved by their families. There's an ex-husband. He's a jackass.
As I live and breathe.
Well, from the looks of it, I'm not sure you do. The deceased must have touched someone's life.
I hated her so much.
If I want your opinion, I will give it to you. That's what she told me. I was her gynecologist.
If there's just one thing you could say about her that's nice.
If she were dead, that would be nice. How's that?
That's the opening night. Who is going to be coming for the opening night?
Mark Pellington from Arlington Road will be coming out, the director
He's the
of the
director.
film. Yes, he's a great director.
Okay. And the closing night film, you have Jessica Chastain's new film, The Zookeeper's Wife.
Thousands of people are dying. The littlest of children.
We have room. We could hide them. Bring as many as you can. What a terrible time you must have had. German troops come every morning. You can't make a sound.
That's a powerful story. The opening is very, very fun and comedic. The powerful emotional story to close Cinequest. I mean, the Zookeeper's Wife, this couple during the Nazi regime, 1939, they found a way to use their influence to not only save animals, but human beings.
That's
an
a true
incredible
story.
It is, based on a very famous novel.
Okay, and who's going to be there on the closing night?
I'm not sure, but we'll have the actors and the director at least.
Then so you have over what, 130 films? How many films do you have?
We have 132 U.S. and world premieres from 50 different countries, expecting 800 artists coming in. It's quite a show.
Okay. Then there's something called the Maverick Award, where you recognize folks from the film world. And you've had a very interesting bunch of people that have won. My most favorite, of course, is William Macy.
That's right, an incredible actor.
Yeah, and you've had the Star Wars guy, what's his name?
We've had J.J. Abrams, Sir Ian McKellen, Sir Ben Kingsley, Kevin Spacey, Rosario Dawson, James Franco, many wonderful, wonderful artists who really embody this Maverick spirit. And
who came up with the idea for the Maverick Award? What was the purpose of giving a Maverick Award?
The co-founder of Cinequest, Kathleen Powell, and I came up with it because we wanted a term that would recognize the spirit of the Silicon Valley and the spirit of the creative people. And to us, that's Maverick. It's somebody that steps outside of the norm, that doesn't do it the same old way, is original, bold, and does something with passion. And many times those are the best movies, the best films, the best technologies, but always they're at least the best attempts.
And this year you have two interesting people for the Maverick Award.
We do. Jane Lynch of Glee, and also of the Best in Show, a wonderful, wonderful comedic actor in person, so we're looking forward to that. And we have Jason Reitman, the great writer and director of films like Juno and Up in the Air. And we'll be announcing a third.
Oh, okay.
Soon,
so there's a third too. So the way the Maverick Award works is you actually have a Q&A or a conversation with the person. So you get to know them one-on-one, and we can sit in the audience and listen in.
That is right. With Jane Lynch, we'll be showing her new comedic film Writer's Block and doing a conversation with her, showing a tribute clip from her career. It'll be a wonderful, wonderful event. So.
Okay. And virtual reality, again, you know, we, like you said, technology is a key part of Cinequest. And this year you seem to have put technology kind of front and center because you have you're inaugurating VR awards.
Right.
And you've got all these forums, these filmmakers that are coming, immersive experiences. When did this idea to include VR in your film festival, for this year's festival, how was that born? I know technology has always been a part, but I don't think it has taken such a central role.
We have brought forward technologies at Cinequest that have really revolutionized the world of filmmaking, media making, distribution through time. First to do internet distribution, first to do digital film cameras, pretty much all of that at Cinequest. So, but virtual reality, we took a look at it last year, but it was still too new for us in terms of, if we're going to do something, we have an internal creed to do it. We call it world class and great. And virtual reality was too rough for us in terms of the content a year ago. Now we're seeing stuff that's really exciting. So it's not just the technology, but now as an audience experience, you can have an emotional experience and a story. It's fantastic. Whereas, you know, it was a little still experimental a year ago. So it's all working great. And then we felt that we needed to fill a need in the world of VR too, in the training of artists, because not a lot of that's going on right now.
Would that, the VR component go for your Picture the Possibilities for the youth program? Is that something that you've thought about?
I have thought about doing an event around that. That could be very interesting.
Because young kids are probably already hooked into all the latest technology. They have the box sitting at home, right?
They are.
They just have to get the headset. Have you tried all the headsets?
I've tried most of the headsets, not all of them, but I just think that it's a very exciting thing. And it's not just for the cinematic experience. It's, you know, the educational opportunities. It sounds dry, educational. But hey, I love visual art, but you know, you learn that in a school, in a book, or with a slide on a projector, or on a slideshow. It's not the same. You know, you need to be with that painting in a gallery. But in virtual reality, you know, you could be transported into a gallery in Europe or wherever. And then one of the ones I really love is you're in this wonderful gallery. Hey, this is pretty nice. It's not quite like being there, but it's pretty darn close. But now I go into the painting and into the world of the painting, and now I'm in the world of 1872 France in a bar. And all of a sudden, that painting comes to life, even if I already know that painting in a new way. And if I'm, you know, 14 years old and somebody's trying to teach me something about art, to me, I think that's going to get them more exciting than a dry lecture about the world, you know, the artistic movements in 1870 France. Okay.
Halfdan, how did you get interested in films?
It was the last thing I was supposed to do.
Why?
I was supposed to be a math guy. That was in my blood. That was something that was very easy for me. I was even studied at the age of, I was 10 or 12 by the universities. I was supposed to be this math prodigy. And they also said, but you're horrible at English. You should never go into anything like that has anything to do with English.
Who said that? Was it, you know, your teachers? Or?
This kind, yeah, the world, the institutions, you know, the teachers and schools and all. I had great teachers, but it was very clear that I was supposed to be a mathematician or you know, in that space, and I was very fast with that. It was easy. But I fell in love with the arts.
How?
in high school, I had a teacher that believed in me and turned me on to writing and books. And all
Why
of a
did
sudden,
she believe in you?
You know, I don't know. But then she just inspired me. She had a passion for literature, and I started reading this. Oh my God, what is this? Now I can feel that somebody else in the world feels like I do. You know, here I am, this depressed, whatever, 16-year-old, and here's this story. This is amazing. And then I started just diving into the world of writing. And then I had always known about film to a degree because I grew up with a father. We didn't have much money. He had a part-time job as a projectionist to get by. But I remembered, you know, I would be in the projection booth with him when he was showing films. I was kind of in the back.
Like Cinema Paradiso.
This kind of thing. All of a sudden, when I started college and I was supposed to be doing all of this math stuff, you would find me just watching films, old films, new films, international films, independent films, and reading books. That's all I loved. And I said, to hell with math. I'm leaving this. And when my mother heard this, she passed out. I think, luckily she didn't die. But she thought it was the worst decision anybody has ever made.
You had to bring the smelling salts.
Exactly. I think my father, you know, he doesn't drink, but if he did, I'm sure he would have started drinking. But it was a hard thing for them to see that shift. But
so you're saying that your parents had a hard time that you left the sciences and
absolutely.
Math and embraced liberal arts.
Especially when you're a poor family and you get a kid that's good at this stuff and he can make a living. And now he's going to go off and build a life with this art? Come on. You know, it was...
But so what within you said that this is the path I need to embrace? Because, you know, if you're economically distressed, you may want to make some money. That may be
right.
One of the first goals. So what was it within you that said, I need to embrace this path? Were you prepared for all the hardships that come when you embrace that kind of a path?
No, I mean, I guess if I had known how difficult it would be to make movies and write books and build art companies, would I do them? I'd say, well, I would because it worked out for me, but I probably wouldn't recommend it to somebody else. If they were in my shoes and were, you know, from a poor family and they had an opportunity to have a decent, you know, living. So, but I had a confidence, I think, that my grandmother gave me from an early age. She just said, you know what, you have to go with what's in your heart in life.
What did your grandmother do?
She was a tough woman that had a big family.
So she knew how to take care of them.
Yeah, she was a homemaker, yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough when you have a large family.
Yes.
Can I ask you the name of the teacher that helped you nurture your interest in literature?
Yes, her name is Barbara Carlson in Boulder, Colorado. And she just said, you never know, like, inspiring somebody is amazing, you know, if you're a great teacher. Or we all can inspire somebody if we have a passion and care about somebody.
Did your teacher know that you inspired her? Did you go back and tell her?
I did. I did communicate with her clearly. She passed far too young, but I did before she had gone a couple of times. I had told her, man, you really changed my life. Your work and your love for your work and also for me as a student.
So then where did you go to study?
The University of Colorado, and then I also studied film at NYU.
Tish.
And I drove a cab there. That was my job. I drove a cab from 1 a.m. to 1 p.m. I learned far more from being a cab driver and from the city of New York and sitting in theaters watching movies than I did from film school. So I was like, oh.
What was
they don't like me saying that because I have a very good relationship with NYU. They're a great group. But I really did. When it comes to film, I think that the craft of film is something you can learn in film school. And you practice that craft. You have to keep practicing, but you got to have something to say.
And that comes from all these conversations you had in your cab rides.
The cab, yeah. And then I had a lot of part-time jobs, you know, bartending, waiting tables, all these things, cab driving, MRI work.
MRI work?
And yeah, and meeting, you know, traveling around when I was 16 in the South, you know, retracing the steps of my favorite writer. These things. And it just, your life starts to have experience. And then I've been
tangible experience.
Yeah. And it gives you something to say. And then through my work, I've been lucky that I meet a lot of different kinds of people. So now I have probably too many experiences. But, you know.
Who was that favorite author of yours that prompted you to go on that trip to the South?
That was Faulkner, because he was a person that he was very innovative. And I've always loved innovators. And he was a very innovative writer. And he had a very big heart and passion for his characters and for people and humanity.
So you made a film. After all of this, you ended up making a film. What was the film about?
It was called He's Still There. It was the only thing I've ever done that was semi-autobiographical. But this one was about the stupid guy who his girlfriends and his relationships always fell apart because he was always trying to change them. And he finally realized in the end he was the one that needed to change. So that's what the movie's about. And that got me into the world of film. And I had my friend who executive produced, very, very low budget film, but it went to the Venice Film Festival. And my friend had convinced the co-founder of Cinequest, Kathleen Powell, to leave her work. Again, the lucrative work as an engineer. She was getting her master's in engineering to spend a summer producing that film. And
you knew her in Colorado?
I did, my friend did, and got her to help us out. And then Kathleen Powell and I decided to found Cinequest because the experience we had at the Venice Film Festival was so inspiring to us. The people were so incredibly giving and caring. And here we were, a couple of punks, and we had, a couple of thousand people showing up for this premiere of our movie that we made, on a shoestring. And so it showed us this amazing power of a live event where people gather around a common love, and something happens that's far greater than just the artistic interaction. Because it's pulsating with energy. The energy. And you have the great artistic experience, and then there's the artists, and then you meet people, and that's
So there you were making your film, sitting in the dark room, editing and everything, and then you go out, and then the community receives it in a totally different way.
It's incredible. And I think that's been, we love producing Cinequest for many reasons, but one of the things that still resonates is we see the artist bringing their artistic child before people. And sometimes this will be the only opportunity for them to show their movie. Other times their films will go on and be seen by tens of millions of people. But either way, this is a really special live experience for them where people are coming to appreciate their work and care about what they're doing, and that's exciting.
We have 2 minutes left. I have to ask you about what book did you write? Because it looks you had a bucket list and you've checked them off. Like you've made film, you've got this film festival, and you've also written a book.
I did return to my first love of writing, and I wrote a novel called To the Dogs, and it's about a family.
Your titles are very odd.
Hey, I have odd titles. I know odd people. This is totally not biographical, this one. This is the opposite. But this is about a couple of brothers that grow up in the heartland of Kansas in the 1940s during the war. And they lose their father. And anyway, the tragedy in the family happens, and it spins out the older brother, and he pursues a life that leaves the world of integrity behind.
Oh.
And he starts to fall into a world of crime, whereas his brother, who suffered a great tragedy, takes a whole different path to power. So the film explores two different paths to different types of power in life.
So power as Janus-faced person. There's the good and the bad side.
Exactly.
Okay. So you've done all of that. Now let's go back to the film festival itself. This year, you've got two things that I found very interesting. One is the theme, Elevate. Who came up with that?
Our community. We always do our themes internal at Cinequest. It's me, a couple of board members, my partner Kathleen, and our marketing team. Not this year. We decided we would go to our community for the first time, and during our summer meetup series, we gathered and we said, hey, here are the themes from the past. What are your ideas? What would you like to have? And they nominated their three favorites, and then we all voted, and I also approved enthusiastically this theme of Elevate. And it ended up, when we picked that theme, we were right in the beginnings of the election, and it was getting really nasty, and the energy was really negative. I don't care who you vote for, what you feel, but the overall, I think we all agree that particular election had a negative malaise. And so that theme of Elevate became more important to me every day. Like, okay, well, this is what the arts do. This is what people do in great communities like the Silicon Valley and technology. We rise, right? We find ways to lift each other up, and so I love this theme. Yeah.
Last 30 seconds, women. There's a lot of focus on women this year. And your Elevate theme had a little girl with balloons.
Yes, and we also have 75 women directing movies at Cinequest this year, which is phenomenal. Last year we had 70, so it's exciting. And again, I think that was also part of the without tapping in too much into politics, a lot of women feel they don't feel good right now. So I think it's great that we have this theme to really celebrate women in an organic way at Cinequest, with these incredible movies and film artists and our theme. I think it's fantastic.
Well, Halfdan, we have run out of time. Thank you so much for coming down and sharing what Cinequest does and what drives you all to host this film festival and the work with youths.
Thank you, exactly. It's a great pleasure. Thank you.
And if you missed any of our show, you can watch them on our YouTube channel. And we are going to leave you with the Cinequest clip that explores the theme of Elevate, which is very inspirational. And thank you for watching. If you missed any of our shows, you can catch them on our YouTube channel. We'll be back again with a new show next week. Until then, goodbye.